Hey folks, Brian Blessing here in Las Vegas, and it's time to talk about the weekend in the NHL. The trade deadline, February 25th. Some teams are rising, some teams are plummeting, GMs are panicking. It's going to be an interesting 10 days in the NHL, but with the trade deadline coming up, certainly some teams are more motivated and some guys are biting their fingernails, don't want to get traded. So there's a real dynamic in play here. In fact, like right here in Vegas, the Golden Knights are struggling big time where they used to dominate at T-Mobile Arena. Now they're struggling at home, and you wonder what George McPhee's going to do. But let's look at Saturday and Sunday's menu and see some of these opportunities. There are several day games. We documented this last week. It was Hockey Day in Canada, so there were 5 day games. 4 of the 5 of them went over the total. You got Detroit and Philly, and then Calgary-Pittsburgh is the one I would look. You'll get a total of 6.5 there. Out of conference, I think these teams could go up and down the ice. That early game could be the one that features some goals. St. Louis is on a dead run. Colorado's going off a cliff, although they did beat Winnipeg. Don't sleep on the Blues in a day game. They have roared all the way back into the playoff picture. It looked awful for them at the beginning of the year, but full marks to St. Louis for not caving it in. Montreal at Tampa Bay. Montreal continues to hang around. It's a great story. Claude Julien, I think, has to be in the discussion for the Jack Adams Trophy winner. Tampa Bay's always tough at home. I will tell you this personally, though, years ago, covering the Super Bowl in Tampa Bay, during the week, went to a Montreal game against the Lightning. It was half Canadiens fans. The Snowbirds will be down there. Montreal will have fan support. Edmonton and the Islanders, you think of McDavid, you think of goals, but when you think of the Islanders, you got to think under the total because both Greiss and Leonard have been terrific. Other games of note, Toronto's on a roll on their Western Road swing at Arizona. Oh, by the way, if you're maybe a fantasy player, look for Matthews in Arizona. Auston Matthews just got his 100th career goal to have a big day against the Coyotes, who, by the way, were in a big letdown spot after having won with their dads in tow in Vegas. Feature games, you got Columbus and Chicago. Really interesting. You got Panarin on the Blue Jackets, who they may have to move, and a lot of people are saying he's going to go to Chicago. The two teams bumping into each other on Saturday. Then you go Nashville at Vegas. A little rematch here of a game a few weeks ago where Pierre-Edouard Bellemare actually bit PK Subban, who went into Hollywood acting mode. Could be some passion on display in Vegas, circling the wagons. Have lost 5 in a row on home ice. Vancouver's at San Jose. This Vancouver team is not going anywhere. They're hanging around. They won a shootout game against the Kings. The Pedersen kids, electric, could see goals in that particular game. And the get-out game is Boston at L.A. We go to Sunday's card. The one thing I would make mention of, the Rangers at Pittsburgh is a 9:30 a.m. start here in Vegas. So 12:30 is face-off time in Pittsburgh. The Rangers are idle on Saturday. So they'll be sitting in Pittsburgh watching that game with Calgary. Little advantage to the Rangers being fresh for the game off the layoff on Sunday. Then you get Buffalo and New Jersey. That's a 3 p.m. start. You get an afternoon game. So actually, it's a 6 o'clock start, again, Eastern time. Buffalo, 10-game winning streak, hit the skids. They're slowly starting to show signs of life. Linus Ullmark has taken over as the top goalie with the Sabres. Be interesting to see if he gets the call or Hutton, but that could be a game that does feature goals. And then Montreal makes that back-to-back day quick hop over to Florida. That's another game that could be high octane. Even though Carey Price is with the Habs, you could see some pace to that game, could feature some goals. And then Washington trying to get their act together. Big win over San Jose, looking to stomp on Anaheim, who will be a very active team at the trade deadline. So don't forget, the day games can be quirky in nature, sometimes leads to higher scoring opportunities for you. It's going to be a wild weekend in the NHL, and we always love talking about hockey with you here at BangTheBook.com. You can follow me on Twitter at Brian Blessing, and I join Adam Burke every Tuesday on his wonderful sports betting podcast. Enjoy the weekend on ice in the NHL.